Well, I'm Andrea Fryrear. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of AgileSherpas. And what we do is try to bring Agile principles, practices, ways of working into the marketing profession. And it's a really big passion of mine because I am a marketer. That's my job. Before I started a business, I spent my career as a marketer, working in project management and a lot of time in content marketing and content strategy, and really experienced firsthand the pain and suffering that comes with having a less than ideal process supporting you. And it didn't really matter how smart me and my team were or how hard we worked. If we didn't have the right operational foundation, we were kind of being set up to fail. And then I was working at a software company doing their marketing and saw what the developers were doing, which was using Agile. And they were the polar opposite of what we were doing. And I was confused because they weren't any smarter. They weren't working any harder than we were. And so I sort of started stalking them and I'm trying to understand what they did differently. Discovered it was Agile and went out and learned everything I could about it and how to kind of adjust it and apply it to the different way that marketing works. Because it's not exactly the same, right? It's knowledge work, but there's some nuance there. And so eventually I made it work and wouldn't shut up about it because it's so much better. It's so much better. And so people started asking me to come and help them. And so I left that job and started Agile Sherpas to really go out and help marketers everywhere. So now that's sort of our mission: is all marketers become Agile marketers. And that's where we're on a mission to make that happen. So I think the most exciting thing for me at this exact moment is Agile is kind of resurging because of AI, which is an interesting, I don't know, collaboration that maybe people weren't necessarily expecting at the start of all the AI hype, because people were just so fixated on AI as the solution to any and everything that was wrong in your team or in your tech or in anything, right? Just put some AI on it and it'll be fine. But I think what people are starting to realize is that the problems are oftentimes much more deep-seated than just, add some AI to it. And so there's a lot more emphasis that's coming around on people, on process, on operational excellence that has to be there to underpin AI. And so Agile is the perfect solution to all of those things. And so we're starting to see a lot more organic inbound interest in what we do, which I, of course, as the business owner, love to see. But I think it's a natural thing to have happen as people have tried to kind of force AI into their maybe not ideal operations and felt the disconnect. And now they're like, okay, this isn't working. What do I need to do to prepare myself and my team to make AI actually work and protect that investment, right? Because it's an investment when you start moving to a more AI powered way of working, and you want to make sure that it's going to stick and that it's not just going to be money lit on fire. What we found is that nobody in our study who had fully implemented AI was not also Agile. Like those two things really complemented each other. Agile teams were 3 times more likely to say they had effectively implemented AI. So it wasn't just kind of spotty here and there, right? Just kind of coincidental. Like the correlation was really, really strong, which is really exciting. We believe in agility as the best way for marketers to work, and it's always nice to have some data to back that up. Yeah, I do think that there's an interest in consolidation, right? In looking for a more holistic solution to challenges, right? And so whether that's using AI to solve more problems as opposed to like buying a bunch of different tech solutions. Like let's find a way to use AI maybe to connect disparate tools, or maybe get rid of some of the tools that were out there sort of on their own, and find ways to bring things together. Just from the tools and tech that we use internally, you can see a lot of them are trying to use their own AI capabilities to maybe make other tools obsolete, right? You don't need this other thing now because we've built a thing that AI can do a lot of, right? Like everybody's got the AI thing going on. And I think we're seeing it from the services side as well. Like people don't want 10 different service vendor partners. They would like to find somebody who can help them do a lot of things, which again, I think is Agile solves a lot of things. And so finding a way to make sure that people understand that it's not just we're here to help you do sprints or have daily stand-ups, right? But this is a foundational component of everything that you do, from the data you collect to the way that you plan to how you construct your teams. Agile is this base layer, right? We talk about it as an operating system. It underpins everything that you do. And just like if you have a really old, outdated operating system on your phone, you're not going to be able to install the new cool apps. So you gotta keep it updated. Yeah, I think in the last year, maybe if we're going farther back, so like a full 12 months back, there was kind of a pulling away from Agile as a concept. We would have clients say, we love everything that we're doing. Like we love the concepts, we love the outcomes, but we can't talk about it as Agile. Like, we need a different name for it, because internally there was like an allergic reaction to the term. People had had a bad experience or whatever it was. I think that that's shifting again now. But for a while there, it was a weird kind of backlashy moment. And that's surprising to me as someone who really loves Agile ways of working and has felt the benefits of it. And kind of going back to our data from the State of Agile Marketing Report, we ask our respondents who have been on an Agile team, would you ever want to go back and not work on an Agile team? 98% of them say no. They only want to work this way. This is it for them. And so I think, this is again coming back to like why we're here. We want marketers to experience the good kind of Agile, the real kind, because once they do, they're in, and they will be evangelists, and they will find a way to make it happen on every team that they're on forever. But anyway, I do think that is a cycle that happens, right? Where people kind of ebbs and flows. And I think we're coming back to the high water on it again. But that was surprising to me to see that happen as somebody who is such an Agile believer. I'm just like, you guys, come on. Like, why do we get caught up in the terminology when it's such an obviously good way of working? Yeah, I think part of it is there's not a good alternative, right? I mean, what else are you gonna do? We can't go back to right, the big waterfall-y, like we plan everything out perfectly in January and then hope that it holds for 12 months. We know that's not gonna work, and a perfect plan doesn't save us. Everything changes so fast. There's just no going backwards. And planning in even smaller cycles starts to feel so frenetic and chaotic. And that's not really the answer, in my opinion. So I yeah, I think it's about finding something more tailored and bespoke, right? And I think where people have a bad experiences with Agile only looks like this, right? And you must do it this way, and otherwise you did it wrong. And I think getting more comfortable with flexibility around implementation and around what it looks like helps a lot. And that's usually when people have had the bad experience that makes them never want to say the word agile again, is they had somebody who wouldn't let them flex, and was insistent on one rigid way of doing it. And again, that's why Agile Sherpas is what we are, because marketing is different, right? There's a lot of overlap between marketing and software development and why Agile works in that particular function. But there's also a lot of differences, and the types of people that work in those disciplines are different, and they need to be supported differently, right? And so just acknowledging and honoring those differences makes a world of difference. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to provide value, right, to an end user. And we have to balance what we believe that value is with what a lot of other people inside our organization think the value is, right? So whether it's the building of a feature versus the constructing of a campaign, there's a lot of people who have ideas and feelings about what those two things need to be. And then we, as kind of subject matter experts, whether you're a marketer or a developer, you know, like as a SME, what those best practices look like. But then everybody around you has opinions. And so finding a way to kind of marry those things and ultimately get something out the door to please the end user, and to do that in a timely way. Like, it's the same kind of thing. If you're taking 9, 12, heaven help us, 18 months to get something into market, that cycle just does not work. It doesn't work for software releases. It doesn't work for marketing. So we have to find a way to get value out the door that's useful and balances that internal versus external push-pull. So those things kind of fundamentally are the same for marketers and software developers, but the specifics is where it sort of diverges. I think the biggest thing for us is right now is kind of broadening the definition of what agile marketing means. In the past, it's been a lot about just agile frameworks, right? So a little bit of Scrum, a little bit of Kanban, let's blend in some lean here and there, right? And that's what we talked about as agile marketing. But what we've learned the hard way is that there's a lot of stuff that's adjacent, right, to those frameworks, that if you can't address those, the frameworks won't work. They won't stick. And so trying to broaden that definition. And so we've recently released a more holistic operating system. So we're calling it the Agile Marketing Operating System, getting beyond just process and looking at teams, looking at leadership, looking at data and metrics, tools and technology. So all of those things have to come together to enable agility. So I think that that's a big deal, right? Is broadening the definition and helping people understand how all those pieces have to work together if you really want agility to be there and be permanent, and not something where we're like, okay, we did agile and now we're done, and then the person who championed agile leaves and then it all falls apart. In order to avoid that, it really does have to become just like the water we all swim in, right? It's just the way that we do things, and it's not going away. So for us, that's really kind of the next phase, is getting broader and really also putting our flag in the ground and saying, we are defining agile marketing as this, right? And not allowing it to get watered down, because we try to be too like, oh, it could be that, and it could be this, and all the definitions are okay and acceptable, and it ends up meaning nothing. If it can mean anything, then it doesn't mean anything. And so we're trying to get a lot more clear about putting boundaries around what we believe it means, being very, very clear in our content with our clients. And I think that's going to be really important to make sure people have a good experience and then want to stick around with Agile for the rest of their career. historically, right, Agilists love our 2-day cert workshops, right, where we go in and we train you and we certify you and then we coach you for 6 months, and that's kind of what we do, which is good. And there's certainly moments and situations where that's really valid and appropriate. But especially in marketing right now, it's so intense, right? There's so much pressure. And again, this is a very salient overlap moment between software and marketing, because we are the two professions being the most disrupted by AI right now. And so we have a huge amount of pressure on us to do things faster, to do things more, right? To do all the things all the time. And so to ask people to put all of that aside for, a 2-day workshop, people are like, that's a crazy idea. We will not be doing that. And so finding better ways to support in the midst of these realities. And so we've put together these membership offerings where it's bringing together, self-paced learning, some instructor moments, right, where you do need to have a human explain things sometimes because you need that back and forth. Like, that's a powerful thing. But then we also have, a custom GPT that's trained on all of our stuff. So if you just have a quick question and it's 7:00 at night in your coach's time zone and you're not going to be able to reach them, like, you can ask the Sherpa bot and it knows and it can answer you all the time. And of course, the great thing about GPTs, right, is they don't get frustrated with you, and you can ask them a million times and they don't care. So anyway, the membership is really trying to bring together a lot of modalities of support so that marketers can get what they need when they need it, and we don't have to rely on people being able to consume kind of this traditional certification coaching combo to really get what they need. Yeah. So the Agile Marketing Credo is our new take on the Agile Marketing Manifesto. So Manifesto has gone through 2 iterations. The marketing version has gone through 2 iterations over the past decade or so. And my team and I were involved in writing the most recent version. And I think it's a good document overall. But to what we were talking about before, it's a little bit, it can mean a lot of things, right? There's a lot of room for interpretation within that document, which is part of its purpose, right? Is it's meant to kind of be broad and be open to interpretation. But we wanted to take things farther and be more prescriptive and more specific about what agile marketing means and what it really looks like when it's implemented well inside of a marketing organization. So the Credo really lays out in a lot more detail why Agile matters in 2025 for marketing teams, what it needs to look like, and how it needs to be fully embedded across marketers' ways of working, right? So like I was saying, not just do Scrum, do Kanban, or combine them into sort of a customized framework. It's got to spread out into the way that you plan, the way that you put your teams together, how your leaders lead. Is your data available and trustworthy and accessible? All of these things have to come together. So we have the operating system, which is sort of a 3-part Venn diagram that has the who, the what, and the how of agile marketing. And then the Credo is really a deep dive into explaining what all of those pieces are and how they work together. So this is our attempt to really be more clear about what agile marketing is and how it works, what it feels like, what it looks like, and get just sort of once and for all out in the open what marketers should be looking for to understand, are we doing agile marketing and are we doing it right? So we have the learning journeys in the membership platform that align to those different components. So if you are struggling with leadership, for instance, then we have micro learnings, we have trainings that are able to help you level up that part of your operating system that might be underperforming at the moment. So, and then you can over time, right, work on the piece that's really holding you back so that you're not trying to fix everything at the same time. Again, this is an agile approach, right? You don't do everything at once. You're looking at the highest priority, the thing that's going to make the biggest impact right now, and let's address that. And then we'll move on to the next highest thing in your backlog and really like look at it as an ongoing improvement effort, not a one-time we did it and it's over approach. This is our 8th year of doing our State of Agile Marketing report, and we've seen it kind of hold steady in terms of adoption levels, kind of 40, 45. We cracked 50% one year, and then it sort of came back down below 50% adoption. In the next 2 to 3 years, I would not be surprised if we see a hockey stick moment because of what we talked about before of the AI moment that we're in, and people realizing AI is not optional, right? It is kind of, people are struggling with it right now and struggling to achieve ROI on it, but there is just so much potential and so much power in these tools that people are gonna have to figure it out. And in order to do that, you need a modern operating system, a modern way of working as the foundation. So people are starting to get there, right? They're starting to work their way backwards and make that realization. And so I would not be surprised to see kind of a renaissance of Agile across the organization, not just in marketing, but everywhere, as people realize that this is critical, not boring, unsexy work, but like really foundational, important activities. And then we really kind of are Agile's cool again. We are recommitting kind of to the mission of every marketer is an Agile marketer. And over the past few years, we've really focused on larger team transformations as a means of reaching the most marketers that we could, right? If we can work with a big team, we can reach a lot of marketers. But I think right now we're realizing that maybe reaching smaller teams or individual marketers even can be just as efficient or effective. So we're trying to get in touch with as many marketers as we can and find ways to get agility into marketing teams in whatever way we can, right? So if it's not a full-blown transformation where everybody on every team goes Agile at the same time, that's okay. What are some more incremental ways that we might be able to start getting Agile into pockets as sort of, a little Trojan horse style situation there? So we have things like our personal agility for marketers course that we're doing. So even if it's just you that wants to take back your time and work more efficiently yourself in sort of like a personal Kanban style approach, this is what I did when I first got started, right? I had my personal board, sticky notes next to my cubicle, and people would come and ask me things, and I'd be like, this is everything I'm doing. Where does your request fall? It works still, even if you don't have a team, that's doing it alongside you. So getting really kind of creative, and we have our own AI, systems to support us and allow us to reach farther than our small team normally would have been able to. So really trying to use technology to help us achieve that goal of making every marketer an Agile marketer.